What would you sacrifice for the one you love, only to find they no longer see you in their future? In the heart of Chicago, where the wind cut like a blade through the concrete canyons, Michael Turner woke each dawn with a singular purpose: to build a life for him and his wife, Elena. At 29, he was a man of grit, not polish, with hands roughened by labor and a heart softened by devotion. Elena, his high school sweetheart, was the opposite: sharp, ambitious, with dreams that sparkled like the skyscrapers she admired. She wanted to be a lawyer, to wield justice like a sword, and Michael vowed to make it happen, no matter the cost. He took on 3 jobs. By day, he hauled crates at a warehouse, the sweat soaking through his faded flannel. At night, he drove a delivery truck, navigating the city's arteries under flickering streetlights. On weekends, he cleaned offices downtown, mopping floors in the same buildings where Elena studied late, poring over law books in the university library. Every paycheck went to her tuition, her books, her dreams. He didn't complain, not when his back ached, not when his eyes burned from sleepless nights. Love, he believed, was sacrifice, and Elena was worth it all. She'd kiss him softly before her classes, whispering promises of a future where they'd have a house, kids, a life free from the grind. "We're in this together, Mike," she'd say, her voice warm like summer. He clung to those words, a lifeline through the exhaustion. They lived in a cramped apartment, the walls thin enough to hear the neighbors' fights, but it was theirs. He'd come home to find her asleep over her notes, a pen still in her hand, and he'd smile, knowing every callus on his palms was for her. Years passed, each one a blur of labor and hope. Elena excelled, her name climbing the ranks of her law school's honor roll. Michael attended her mock trials when he could, sitting in the back, his work boots out of place among the polished shoes of her classmates. He'd watch her argue, her voice steady and fierce, and feel a swell of pride. She was becoming everything she'd dreamed of, and he was the foundation beneath her. But cracks began to form, subtle at first. Elena started staying out later, attending networking events with names like future leaders of law. She'd come home talking about colleagues with trust funds, professors with connections, and firms with marble lobbies. Michael listened, nodding, but her words carried a new edge, a hunger for something he couldn't name. She began to dress differently, sharper, more expensive, dipping into their savings for tailored blazers and heels that clicked like ambition on hardwood floors. One night, as he sat on their sagging couch, eating cold leftovers after a double shift, she walked in, her face unreadable. "Mike, we need to talk," she said, her voice clipped. He set down his fork, his stomach tightening. She stood across the room, arms crossed, her law degree framed on the wall behind her degree he'd paid for with years of his life. "I got an offer," she said. "A big firm in New York. It's everything I've worked for." "That's amazing, Elle," he said, forcing a smile. "We'll figure out the move. I can find work there." "No, Mike." Her words cut like glass. "I'm going alone." He blinked, the room tilting. "What do you mean?" She sighed, her eyes avoiding his. You're not enough anymore. This life, she gestured at their apartment, at him. "I need more. I need someone who can keep up with me. Someone richer. In every way." The air left his lungs. Richer. The word echoed, sharp and cruel. He thought of the nights he'd worked until his hands bled, the mornings he'd skipped meals to save for her textbooks. "I gave everything," he whispered. "Everything." "I know," she said, softer now, but resolute. "And I'm grateful. But gratitude isn't love." She left that night, her suitcase rolling out the door like the end of a song. Michael sat alone, the silence deafening, the weight of her words crushing him. He'd built her dream, only to be left behind in its shadow. Days turned to weeks, and Michael drifted through his routines, hollowed out. The warehouse, the truck, the mop, they were just motions now, devoid of purpose. He stopped shaving, stopped caring. The apartment felt like a tomb, every corner haunted by memories of her. He wondered where he'd gone wrong, if love was just a fool's errand. Then came the twist, the unexpected light in his darkness. One evening, as he cleaned an office building, he noticed a woman lingering late at a desk, surrounded by papers. She was older, maybe 50, with kind eyes and a weary smile. Her name was Clara, a paralegal who'd been at the firm for decades. She'd seen him before, mopping floors, and one night, she offered him coffee. "You look like you're carrying the world," she said, her voice gentle but direct. He shrugged, unsure why he opened up, but the words spilled out. Elena, the jobs, the betrayal. Clara listened, not interrupting, her presence steady like an anchor. When he finished, she leaned back, thoughtful. "You know," she said, "I was married once. He was like he worked himself to the bone for me. I didn't see it then, didn't appreciate it. I chased bigger things, and I lost him. Biggest mistake of my life." Michael looked at her, surprised. "You regret it?" "Every day," she said. "But here's the thing, you didn't lose your worth." She did. "You're not defined by her choices." Her words hit him like a lifeline. Clara became a friend, meeting him for coffee after her shifts, sharing stories of her own mistakes and resilience. She didn't pity him. She saw him. She told him about a community college nearby, where he could take night classes, maybe find a new path. "You've got strength," she said. "Use it for you now." Slowly, Michael began to rebuild. He enrolled in a business course, using the discipline he'd honed for Elena to study for himself. He started running, the rhythm of his steps drowning out the pain. Clara introduced him to a group of her friends, people who valued grit over glamour, who laughed easily and shared what little they had. For the first time in years, Michael felt seen, not as a means to an end, but as himself. One night, as he walked home under the city's glow, he passed a law firm's glowing sign. He thought of Elena, now in New York, chasing her marble lobbies. He didn't hate her anymore. He pitied her, in a way, for not seeing the wealth in what they'd had. Love wasn't about money or status, it was about showing up, day after day, even when it hurt. Michael never heard from Elena again, but he didn't need to. He'd given her his all, and in the end, he found something greater, himself. Clara's words echoed in his mind, a quiet truth. His worth wasn't tied to her rejection. He was enough, more than enough. And as he stepped into his apartment, now filled with textbooks of his own, he felt a spark of hope. The future was his to build, and this time, he'd do it for himself.